Right, just to introduce you to the metal lathe, there is the tailstock end here, which has a dead end in it, which is ball bearing raced. And the idea then is when the bar is put in, the cone here holds it in place and allows it to free spin in the end here. When you're using this, the tailstock needs to be moved up the material, it needs to be locked up, then adjusted to the material and then locked off so it stays in place, it doesn't move. Okay, so that's the dead end at the centre of the lathe. And then we have the saddle, which is in the centre here, and goes across horizontally at right angles to you. And these are for making parallel cuts within a job, backwards and forwards. And then the cross slide, which is in here, which goes backwards and forwards the other way, that allows for depth of cut for when you're turning out metal. And then you've got the compound slide, which is the wee piece here, and which needs to be undone. And to undo it, there's a wee Allen key, and you undo that, and that allows you then to do tapers and bevels and things like this on your job. So there is a number of things can happen. One, the saddle allows you to go horizontally, backwards and forwards at right angles to the centre line, giving you parallel cutting. The cross slide gives you depth of cut, and the compound slide, when it's adjusted, will give you bevels and everything about bevels, and you use this one here then to do that, and that allows that to come backwards and forwards. So when you're doing different operations, you need to think in advance of what part of the lathe are you actually physically using. So if I'm using ordinary straight parallel turning, then I'm using this one giving me depth of cut and this one giving me horizontal cut. Okay, so those two are the two that I'm using. When I'm using the compound slide, it is adjusting up the compound slide here, setting it up, setting it off. This one now is giving me depth of cut, the same, and this one's giving me the parallel cut at the angle I've set it at. So it's going across. You can see the line of how it's going to travel backwards and forwards. Okay, so that's the operation of the cross slide, the saddle, and the compound slide. Okay, and going to the headstock of the lathe itself, which is now important here. The headstock has a cover. Because it's all moving parts under here, this has got a 3-jaw chuck in it, and you need to make sure that the material is held very firmly in the 3-jaw chuck when you're putting it in. It will hold round or hexagon or triangular material. It won't hold square. So if it's a square piece of metal, there is a 4-jaw chuck that you have to take off the chuck here and change it for a 4-jaw. And then it takes a wee bit of setting up to get it right. Okay, so that's the live end of it, a 3-jaw chuck. It has a cover. The machine will not work unless that cover's down. You can hear a little faint click. That's a micro switch inside the machine that tells me that if that's up, the micro switch is off and nothing will do. So we're coming to the real end of it now. The gearboxes, the switches. So it's on at the wall. When you're turning it on, you need to turn it on at the wall. You need to turn it on at the machine. And you need to select direction of cut of the headstock. So this one is for turning, cutting any right-hand threads and general turning. This one would be for left-hand threads only. And then so you select the direction. It's like a forward and reverse. This is the forward motion that we do all our work in, and then the button has a safety switch on it that you have to turn in order to make the whole thing live. Okay, so that will turn it off and on. And now at the moment you'll notice that nothing's going to go on the machine. Okay, nothing's happening. I can do, while it's in this state here, I would do all my adjustments of setting the machine up. And that's before I do any turning on or anything else. If I want to change gears, there's the revolutions per minute of the gearboxes. So to do it, I push the lever in, I wait for it to clip the headstock by hand and make sure it clips into place. Okay, so push it and feel for the gears. Don't just put and then half do it, and you'll find you'll be in between gears and make a heck of a grunching noise, and end up then with, there it is, you can hear it click into place. Okay, so you need to get it in. For aluminium, when you're working with aluminium, it's very high speed, so we want to get up to the 1500 revs here, so push it in and bring it up. When you're cutting heavier steel, it's low revs. Okay, so you need to go down to probably 750 for that particular cut. Very rarely are we cutting right down low. These are the threads. Okay, we're using the top range here. So we put it into the top range here. This is the second set of speeds, and this one's the lower set of speeds for the others. Okay, and then down here, these are all thread cutting things. They take a wee bit more complex, but they're all there. Okay, now to start the machine, it's on, as I suggested before. It's in forward motion. The spring is buttons clicked out, the hood's down, and this is the on-off switch here. So when I turn it on, off, it will turn off. Now, if I do anything, the micro switches take over. So there are micro switches, and they won't reset until I reset the switch again. So if I'm it won't go again until I've actually physically reset the switch. Now there are also other micro switches, and there's a wee bar here that to stop the cutting tools hitting into the headstock as it's spinning. You can set up the micro switch, which is down in the corner here, just right down here. There's a micro switch, and by adjusting out the bar, I'm just going to lean over here a minute. Don't point the camera at my left ear because it'll come out and you'll see that one. You adjust the bar out until such times as it hits the micro switch. So that now will stop the machine from winding in on the saddle. It'll cut the machine out automatically. So we can test that. Right, we can test it by starting the machine. This micro switch is set up. So again, that won't now go until I reset the master switch here again. So that's a safety thing that you can put into place if you're lacking a little bit of confidence. Okay, so there are little stops that you can set up. There's another stop here on the cross slide that you can set up to stop the saddle going too far. And if you go too far, sometimes they drop out the end. So you can undo a wee stop here. It's like the other stop. You can set it up. I don't actually have these set up because I'm not lacking in confidence at all, but sometimes they get in the road. And so you just undo those again and just slide it back out. There it is. And that will stop now up against this pin here, so it stops the cross slide going right through. I actually wind that back in itself, particularly when you're cutting taper. So I'll just put that back in there. Okay, so just to do a recap, before you use a machine, you should really know a little bit about a machine, and particularly how it's going to stop, how long it takes to stop, and things like that. Knowing how to switch it on, knowing how to change your gears, so then you don't mess things up. You know how to change gears. You even have a little practice before you actually use the machine properly. Just have a wee practice and sort of feel for where the gearboxes are. Okay, check that everything, if you're setting up a piece of material, lock everything up, that it's all going to be locked in place. Now this is for between spindle turning.
So that's for a very long piece.
That's a very long piece. Anything after about 150 millimetres, you should really have this into supported. Or you put in a separate support to do it. Otherwise it becomes floppy and dangerous. Okay, so the on switch on the wall, on switch on the machine itself, and it's a matter of on, find the gearbox, click off the button, make sure you've adjusted everything up, all your stops you want to be adjusting up, and then I'll just leave that there at that point.
It's Mr. Scott signing out.